ऐसा क्यों होता है कि डायस्पोरा में खालिस्तान resonates more than probably in India? And even in India, it could be just pockets where people talk about Khalistan. It's really not such a big issue in India. But you see in Toronto, you go to Vancouver, you go to Yuba City, they still talk about it. They still talk about Khalistan. That abhi hone wala hai. And so, it's necessary to read this book and listen into this podcast because you have visited these places so many times as part of your work. And in this book, you detail everything. So let's begin with the conversation, sir.
It's my pleasure to be here to talk to you about my book, The Khalistan Conspiracy. I hope I will be able to clear quite a few of your doubts which have been created maybe through interaction with some people who didn't know the reality.
Right, sir. So the first and foremost is the whole thing about being a conspiracy. Reading through the book, it becomes obvious that, my generation, which has seen Blue Star up front, when I was reading about your experience, in living in Chanakyapuri at that time, in Satyamarg, and you all that, we will come to that bit later. But it was like, going through that all over again. So if I felt like that when I wasn't a victim, when my family wasn't a victim, when my near and dear ones weren't victims, we were watching it from the outside. But if it shook me so much, I can well imagine how disturbing it must be for people who seeing all this all over again, seeds of it maybe, or remnants of it probably. So let's get on to the conspiracy part. For those who don't know, there is something that Sidhu Saab mentions, which is Op 1 and Op 2. And I'm going to, sir, keep reading out portions from your book. The scary part about this Op 1 and Op 2, of course, the preface has a lot of it. I'm not going to go there. You say that you name it Operation Bhindranwale Khalistan. And in this, you say that it was initiated and managed by some senior and influential Congress leaders operating from Prime Minister's residential office in 1 Akbar Road, New Delhi. Normally, no records are kept of such operations, and everything is decided verbally. However, as that operation had some external ramifications, the R&AW, which is the Research and Analysis Wing, the external intelligence wing, so those who don't know what R&AW stands for, it's the external intelligence wing, it became involved in one form or the other. So does that mean that minutes were kept of this meeting? And for our audiences, you need to tell us who all were part of that 1 Akbar Road meeting.
First of all, let me tell you that writing this book had been a very, very painful experience for me especially, because I have to live through the same thing. For the last so many years I've been nursing all this thing, but then I thought, let me share with the Indian readers as to let them know what happened actually. And I thought the younger generation would not understand if I write the way normal books are written. It is better to write in some sort of an R&AW operation thing. And this had two phases. And first phase started in the middle of 1978 when Gyani Zail Singh and Sanjay Gandhi decided, after Zail Singh had lost the 77 election, so did Indira Gandhi lost the 77 after emergency. So Zail Singh decided that we can create differences between the Akali Dal and Janata Party alliance if we can have a very high-sounding sant to do our bidding. He should be criticizing the moderate policies of the Akalis, and thereby the Janata Party will also have to say something in return, and there will be a difference and they will break. And the persons who were running this operation, the first phase was Zail Singh, Sanjay Gandhi, Indira Gandhi and Kamal Nath. And this was, every operation has an aim as to what is the objective. Secondly, what is the plan to achieve that objective and who are the persons running it. And I have used the word 1 Akbar Road because this is the residential office of Mrs. Gandhi. Safdarjung Road 1 was her residence and 1 Akbar Road they are adjoining. So they were operating from there only. The first part
You even call it a think tank at times.
Well, think tank or even the group or gang, whatever it is, so just to make it little more interesting. So they were functioning from there. So that is what it is. At that time, the method used was Bhindranwale Khalistan. So they will use Bhindranwale to scare the Hindus, and a new issue will be created of Khalistan, which was non-existent at that time, so that larger population of India start thinking that there will be a danger to the integrity of the country.
Basically, you're saying it was a political motive. But how was Bhindranwale selected? Because this is a very interesting part which you talk about, that there were two people who were invited.
I didn't have any information at all. Actually, I was in Canada at that time. People used to talk about Bhindranwale, why Congress is hobnobbing with the Bhindranwale. But ultimately, Kuldeep Nair has written in his book Beyond the Line, his autobiography, he says that once he talked to Kamal Nath as to vote Bhindranwale. Kamal Nath said that we wanted to recruit a very high profile, high sounding and Khadku type of Sant which could do our bidding. So we interviewed two sons. One Sant was a very docile person, but Bhindranwale footed our bill. And he also tells Kuldeep Nair that we used to send money to him also. And again,
so Kamal Nath
Congress
sent money
to Bhindranwale. Kamal Nath and Sanjay Gandhi and all this combined, this group, which is led by
Operation
One people. It can be anybody. Kamal Nath not beginning, maybe anybody through some emissary. They generally, such operations are not run directly. There are always go-between. So then they were saying, and ultimately at the end of it, R.L. Bhatia, Congress at that time MP from Amritsar, I think he must have been the go-between because he was in touch with them till the last very moment. Amrik Singh, he was in contact.
You said, I realized what was happening in Punjab since 1978 was a sort of special operation launched by Sanjay Gandhi and Gyani Zail Singh, the details of which have been mentioned in the preface. That was also the time that Sanjay Gandhi, Kamal Nath were trying to topple Prime Minister Morarji Desai's government at the centre by working on the disgruntled Janata Party leader Raj Narayan. So the seeds of this Khalistan, Bhindranwale thing go back to the period at that time. The Kamal Nath keeps coming up in your book again and again that it wasn't as if Punjab that was his focus. He had even tried to topple Morarji Desai's government by roping in Raj Narayan.
Actually, at that time they did not know that they will be launching a much bigger operation with national ramification. They were going in stages at that time while trying to destabilize the Akali Dal Janata Party alliance in Punjab. They were simultaneously trying to destabilize. First they destabilized the Morarji government, then Charan Singh government lasted only 23 days, and then it led to the elections of January 1980. So if we assess the first phase, the role of Bhindranwale and Khalistan, Bhindranwale was readily available. He did everything for these people they wanted, but his success could be judged that 1979 elections, Bhindranwale SGPC election 140, he could get only 4 seats. And here one thing must be told is that Bhindranwale...
So the Akalis were still strong?
Still strong. They could not destabilize. Ultimately, their government was dismissed in 1980. But let us now speak about whether these people were able to achieve their objective. Number one...
Operation One.
Number one, Bhindranwale never asked for Khalistan in his life. Never. He would only say, if Bibi put that in my job, Bibi means Mrs. Gandhi, अगर वो मेरी झोली में डाल देगी तो ना भी नहीं करूँगा. Now the problem is that they did not enlist Bhindranwale for religious sermons. They wanted to use him for political purposes. Zail Singh thought we should now raise another group. That was Dal Khalsa. In 1978, a group of people, Zail Singh, they raised Dal Khalsa, who started demanding Khalistan. And their first meeting was held in Aroma Hotel. It was known that Zail Singh paid 600 rupees for that. And the press conference after a few days in which they say our aim is independent Sikh state, that also their expenses are paid by the Congress people. So in 1981, the same Dal Khalsa hijacks a plane from Kashmir, from Srinagar to Delhi, they take it to Lahore. And their first, at that time, Bhindranwale was arrested in Lala Jagat Narayan's case. He was in jail. One of their demands was that release of Bhindranwale. So now Dal Khalsa asked for release of Bhindranwale. Dal Khalsa is asking for Khalistan. So people started thinking that Dal Khalsa is a party of Bhindranwale and they are both the same, wherever reality was different. And Zail Singh at that time was Home Minister. He started even talking to the press reporters in Punjab and Jalandhar that Dal Khalsa news should be on the front page.
You keep repeating in your book, it comes many times about Gyani Zail Singh, about how he was, from the inception stage, he was involved in picking Bhindranwale, in molding public opinion via the media, calling up editors, and then you talk about, let me get to the part about, you in Canada and in the US, when you were told by the R&AW chief at that time, you were posted there to find out what the Canadians and what the Americans think about that. This was at that stage.
Yes, actually, I went to Canada as first secretary in the Indian High Commission, Ottawa, after I successfully completed my operation of merger of Sikkim with India. There I stayed for 3 years, September 1976 to 79. I travelled widely, major towns, Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, many times, and by road also. In this 3 years period, I came to know that only two persons are there in Canada who talk about or propagate Khalistan. Number one was Professor Uday Singh of Sudbury. He started teaching mathematics in Laurentian University. Another was Kuldeep Singh Sodhi. Uday Singh was a religious type of man. He never preached outside. Anybody who used to go there, he used to say Sikhs will be better off if they have their own state. But Kuldeep Singh Sodhi, who used to call himself as Consul General of Khalistan, was Jagjit Singh Chauhan's man. Jagjit Singh Chauhan, we will talk about him later. Actually, he was the man who was a member of the Punjab cabinet till 1970, Lakshman Singh Gills. Then he left for USA. He settled the Khalistan Council. So Jagjit Singh, this Kuldeep Singh Sodhi was a paid man, and everybody used to think that like Jagjit Singh Chauhan, Sodhi was also an ISI agent. He used to get the pay, and he used to sell Khalistan passport, currency, stamps, etc. People used to buy that just for curiosity's sake. How much respect Kuldeep Singh Sodhi enjoyed could be judged from the fact that I was called to Toronto in March 1979 to address first Sikh conference. I was one of the speakers. Yeah. As soon as I started speaking, Sodhi stood up and he said, Mr. GB Singh, my passport name is GB Singh, that he is Morarji Desai's agent. And then he better talk about what is happening to the Sikhs in Punjab. No sooner did he say, some 4 or 5 Sikhs picked him up and threw him out of the hall. So after that, in the lobby, he met me. Sir, don't mind. I was doing my job and you were doing your job. And now you were talking about instructions from headquarters. Middle of 78, my joint director from Delhi, he wrote to me, Sidhu, we are not interested in Gurdwara politics. So I used to say that, look here, the new Granthis or Ragis or Sevadars who are coming from Punjab are spreading some critical views about India and orthodoxy also. You better talk to the SGC people that they should first screen those people so that India's image is not spoiled. So this was the status of Khalistan at that time. People, especially of the western coast, Vancouver, San Francisco, they still remember the role of their ancestors in the Ghadar movement. 1913, Ghadar party was established. And it was established to create some sort of a mutiny in the Indian armed forces. 3,000 Sikhs and Hindus sold everything and came to India. Yeah. So they still remembered their role. Khalistan was nowhere. It was a joke at that time.
So we were talking about the West Coast, which is the Canadian West Coast and the American West Coast. So in both Canada and in the US, they still saw themselves as nationalists. The Sikhs who were there, though they went Komagata Maru, which also you mentioned, right. They saw themselves as nationalists, one that episode and one the Ghadar episode. They still saw themselves as part of India. There was no migration because of atrocity in Punjab, Indian Punjab. वो हुआ ही नहीं
वो
उस
तो
वक्त.
better prospects just to
Better
increase socio-economic prospects and improve that. They were all loyalists, although they were trying to accommodate and adjust in the new environment. They were all pro-India. There was nothing.
So now, once you gave that information to back to your bosses in the R&AW, what was the reaction? Because you were told also to set up these news stations.
On that we will tell. Actually, during the same period, I have quoted BG. I mean, a Punjabi, I knew that there was no organized Khalistan movement till the end of 79 or 80. And I have quoted BG Deshmukh, very respectable ICS officer. He was additional secretary, home at that time. Later on, he becomes the cabinet secretary. He has written a book from Pune to Prime Minister's office. So he was additional secretary in charge of internal security of whole of India. Everything was under him. So he went by road in the middle of 79 to Amritsar. On the way, he talked to a lot of Sikh cultivators. So they treated him so well. They fed him everything. And then he met some Hindus in Ludhiana industry. They were all very happy. And he talked to SGPC member and the pilgrims and Harmandir Sahib. Only complaint the SGPC member were that the new young people are now not bothered about religion. They are enjoying life. And people talk about Bhindranwale. They say he's moving around, but they were not at all impressed. So when he returns, he talks to his joint secretary that Punjab is a haven of peace and tranquility. So his joint secretary said, this Bhindranwale, the Congress is trying to raise, he will become a Frankenstein and he'll eat them up. So this was the situation on the ground in India as well as abroad.
Which Kuldeep Nayyar also mentions in his book.
Now you have talked about R&AW.
Hanji.
I returned to New Delhi end of 79 and I was given, R&AW at that time they didn't have any building. It was raised in September 1968, so they were spread over in various places. Only the headquarters was in South Block, now a part of the DGMO's office, 10 rooms. And I was one of the 3 very important officers who were posted there, although I was very junior at the time. One of the most important posts was managing R&W stations abroad. Within 6-8 months, I was also given the additional charge of liaison with foreign intelligence agents posted in New Delhi, MI6 or CIA, etc. So, I was just surprised in December 1980, R&AW created a new branch known as Sikh extremism and its relations with ISI. So I was surprised that there is nothing of the sort. Why this branch has come? The first test should be if there was any Khalistan movement outside or abroad, R&AW should have a branch. This is the first proof. So there was no Khalistan at all, nothing of the sort. It was first created in December. I'll tell you why it was created.
December of?
December 1980. So here I will tell you that January 1980 election, Congress won that election with a thumping majority. So later, rather than telling you at a later stage, I did not know till middle of 1982 as to what the decision was taken. As soon as they won this election, again Sanjay Gandhi, in collaboration with Zail Singh, maybe Kamal Nath also. Kamal Nath had a side role with them. So they talked to Mrs. Gandhi and said, we lost in 77, our condition was pitiable. Let us not repeat that defeat. No, we should ensure victory in the next election before January 1980. And we will win this election on Khalistan Bhindranwale issue. This I came to know from my friend who came from Patiala. So let us leave it for discussion at a later stage.
Okay.
Now, 80 December, new branch was created. I didn't know about it. January, March, I think February, Mr. Santook was our director at that time. He called me, Sidhu sent 7 proposals for new R&AW station in West Europe and North America, Canada and US. So where the Sikh population there, we don't have any present at the moment. To write a proposal in which you should say that Khalistan movement is going to now get strength, they will catch strength and it will go, now we should post our man so that we should know as to what is happening before it started getting serious.
And this is when you have already done a posting in Canada, and you have already done recce in all these places, and there's complete details which you have about the cities that you have visited in Canada and in the US and seen no signs of Khalistan
at all. I was surprised as to why Mr. Santook is saying, because I knew some Khalistanis, their mumbo jumbo they use, I made a 1.5 page proposal and sent those proposals to MEA. Then I thought these were
so
not
why MEA?
Ministry of External Affairs.
But why MEA?
Because
Santook Saab is asking, he's in R&AW.
Because we have to get their approval because our people are located in the embassies.
Okay.
So they will not say, I used to have this much of proposal, old line, 10 years old, even a post of assistant they would not give. We don't have a space.
External Affairs Ministry.
External Affairs Ministry. My job was to cross over to go to the MEA and talk to director establishment, please give me this thing. They will not give. And
it's very territorial what you're telling me, that External Affairs Ministry and R&AW में ये नोक-झोंक चलती थी कि हम आपके ऑफिसर के लिए यहाँ जगह नहीं है.
Because of that only, there used to be a post of JS liaison.
Joint Secretary liaison.
That person used to be from MEA, so that we can sort out the differences.
Okay.
As long as we were in South Block. After that also this post was there, but the purpose was slightly different.
So when you gave the proposal to MEA, you were surprised कि ये झट से कैसे मान गए?
हमें लगता था it will never come.
Okay.
Because for small posts are pending for the last 10 years. But I was pleasantly surprised that these posts came within 2 months or 1 month. I knew that without Prime Minister's intervention, this could not have happened. Then I said, why it is though? Then S.J. Singh was director establishment, my counterpart in the MEA. I have written here, when I took the first man to introduce him, that I am sending this man against this post, it was after a year or so. He says, Sidhu, where is Khalistan? You people are unnecessarily creating posts under the cover of Khalistan. So I said, if there is no Khalistan, please write on this file that there is no need for sending. So how dare he knew that how these posts were sanctioned.
So he was not in the loop. He didn't know the reason.
No,
they will not. Obviously,
how will he know? He was a clean-shaven Sikh actually. He settled in Dehradun. In the first edition, I did not write his name. Second, he said, you could have written my name. So in this book, I have written his name.
Yeah.
He said, you people are unnecessary, now trying to take advantage of this. Where is this Khalistan? I said
also, there's one person who, I think I've quoted it out there, where you make this cheeky comment.
This is what I say? This is just
yeah, in which you said that the MEA gets to know after it is published.
I told him this thing, that look here, the difference between MEA and R&AW is that R&AW, the MEA comes to know about things when they start appearing in the press or television, but R&AW comes to know about the conceptual stage itself. So he didn't like it, but ultimately I apologized. Look here, I had to say so, I have to defend my proposal. I also told him that there was no Khalistan at that time, but after reading my book, he came to know that this is the background.
So there are two things which are happening at this stage. You are preparing a note about Khalistan becoming an issue in the diaspora, because R&AW is an external thing.
Right.
You are doing that, but at the back of your mind, you know it doesn't exist right now. Huh? But when you're making this report, you also know, somewhere in the back of your mind also, that there is a possibility that my boss knows that it will become an issue.
I was surprised. Actually, in R&AW, it's a need-to-know basis. I was surprised, but now let us move to within about 1 month or two, I think we moved to our new location in CGO complex. R&AW, big building is there. Mr. Santook, in the middle of 1981, he tells me, please call a meeting of deputy directors or DIG rank officers and I'll be there. You brief them as to what is Khalistan, what type of information they should be getting. And at that meeting, I briefed them. At that time, the same joint director was sitting there, who wrote me that you should not be bothered, Gurdwara politics, we are not interested. I asked, at that time, joint director used to be number 2. So 2 joint directors were there. I asked them, I pointed, sir, what happened now? We are briefing Khalistan. So what has changed? Things have changed significantly. He didn't tell me what has changed. So I was still briefing the R&AW officer in middle of 1981 as to what is Khalistan. So, and now we move to end of 1981. Before that, in August 1981, Mr. Kaur, who was the founder secretary and retired during Morarji Desai's time, he was appointed as a senior advisor. So maybe at his instance, Mr. Santook tells me that Sidhu, things are getting worse in Canada and US. Now we are hearing bad news. And so here, after having taken a decision that Khalistan Bhindranwale issue will be used, they started screwing up things so that tension should start spreading between Hindus and Sikhs.
Ganga Singh Dhillon comes in from Washington, D.C.
Ganga Singh Dhillon.
That's also at this time that he comes in.
81, middle of 81, there was a Sikh conference in Chandigarh, educational conference. Here again, you have raised a very pertinent issue. Ganga Singh Dhillon was the president of Nankana Sahib Foundation. His wife and General Zia's wife were from Kenya, so they were friends. He was also friends of some Republican leaders there. So he was permitted to come and preside over that Sikh conference
in Chandigarh.
It was middle of 81. So he passed a resolution that Sikhs are a separate nation.
It's the first time that this has happened now.
This has happened. And
because अब तक किसी ने ये नहीं कहा था.
Publicly India में नहीं कहा. दूसरी चीज़ ये है कि गंगा सिंह ढिल्लों type of person with known background was permitted to come to India and preside over a conference. Interesting thing is that Atal Bihari Vajpayee, senior BJP leader at that time, he spoke in the parliament that Darwara Singh has told him that Zail Singh has met Ganga Singh Dhillon in Karnal. So here it's possible that these people had invited him and to tell him all these things.
He couldn't have come without the External Affairs Minister
Clearance?
At that time, without External Affairs Ministry clearing it. The External Affairs Minister at that time is Narasimha Rao. His role is dubious in the whole book, sir. You bring him up several times.
Vinesh Sitapati is written in his book.
In the vile hour.
Half line. This was his vilest hour. We'll come to after that. 1980 November
right.
program.
But here now we're talking about Ganga Singh Dhillon and MEA and External Affairs Minister Narasimha Rao, who clearly knew who this man is. And in spite of that, he's allowed to come, and Khalistan is raised as a separate nation theory is propagated.
But Mrs. Gandhi's time, after the emergency, I have written that Congress party became a family party and its interests were family before nation. This is what I have written also in this. So after emergencies, Congress leaders were of not that stature as they were in the previous regime. So nobody had the guts to say, even a small reference from Prime Minister's office, not Prime Minister directly, telling MEA people that will allow him to come, give him the visa. Visa is given from the embassy itself. Without a visa, he couldn't have come.
Yeah.
So once he gets a visa, nobody is bothered about. Then Narasimha Rao is out. And in the grant of visa, Narasimha Rao, for him, this was a smaller thing. But he did a bigger thing in October, November. That is a big role. That is the main role.
So now, already Bhindranwale by this time, 1981, things are already starting to heat up, right? There is Lala Jagat Narayan's Punjab Kesari. Unka jo, he is shot dead.
9 September 81.
9 September, not bad. You remember the dates too. So now that happens, and Mark Talley writes that and Satish Jacob, both of them write that Narayan's partisan attitude was typical. In fact, the whole of Punjab press was divided along communal lines. So trouble has already started. Though at that time you were thinking that diaspora mein kya ho raha hai, kuch nahi ho raha. But in India, 1981, trouble has already begun. The media is the first one to start the communal divide.
So here,
you keep mentioning, sir, many times that people in Canada and in the US and people in India too are very upset with the role of the media.
Here, that was I told you, but towards the end of 81, I was told by Mr. Santook that now things are going very bad. You must go. Things have changed since you have left. Go and visit Canada and US. So here, before that, Mr. Kaur had already joined. Most probably, there was no doubt that Mr. Kaur must have told him, please send Sidhu, because Mr. Kaur knew me very well from the Sikkim days also during the operations. So I was told...
So he's the former chief of
R&AW, so founder secretary.
Just for our external audiences who may not know who Mr. Kao is, he was the founder of the R&AW. He was very close to Mrs. Gandhi, and he played a major role in setting up systems of the external intelligence agencies. And if you want to know more details, you can look up the podcast with Mr. Vikram Sood, which I have done about Mr. Kao's role. Mr. Sidhu has also worked with Mr. Kao, and Mr. Kao then quits or is asked to leave by Morarji Desai when he disbands the R&AW when he becomes the Prime Minister.
Actually, it was he reduced the status of secretary's post, and Shankaran Nair, close friend of that, was to take over from Mr. Kao as secretary. But Morarji Desai reduced to the director's rank. So Shankaran Nair in protest resigned. He comes to me in Canada and stayed with me for 7 days. He asked me, Sidhu, would you mind? This Morarji will take note of this. I don't bother about him. Then he reduced R&W's strength and finances by 1/3.
Yeah.
It was a big, you can say, jolt to R&W. It took a number of years to recover this.
Do subscribe to the ANI Clips channel to get shorter versions of this podcast. Click here to watch the full episode.